In this video, we're going to look at why traders fail to make money consistently, okay? So, the market, as you know, is driven by two emotions, fear and greed. Now, fear and greed are, literally two sides of the same coin, okay? And that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to have a look at fear and greed and why it causes you to ultimately lose money. You'll make money for a bit and then you won't. And this is why. You won't be consistent. So, fear, trading with money that you can't afford to lose. Now, this is different for everyone, depending on your circumstances, depending how much money you have to trade and your your life in general, whether or not you're married with kids, whether or not you've got a mortgage, all the rest of it, your kind of personal wealth and security. This will all determine how comfortably you can take a loss, the size of the loss, all the rest of it, and very much your personality and your appetite for risk as well. So there's a lot in this mix, but ultimately, everyone has an amount that hurts when they lose, and everyone has an amount that affects their judgment. Let's look at an example. Let's say right up here you decide to buy, and it's absolute worst case scenario. The market comes down and down and down and down, and you add more trades, and the drawdown's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now we know, logically, the market cannot continue forever. And if you look at some of the biggest moves in history, whether they went up or down, it doesn't matter. They could not go forever. And when they retraced hard, okay? And you would have got out of the trade if it was managed correctly. You can look at any event in history, that is the case. So why do people lose money on these events? Well, pretty simple really, for the two reasons you see on the screen right now, fear and greed. So that's what we're going to have a look at. I want you to imagine then that up here, you risked an absolutely tiny amount, and right down here with all these trades on, right at this point, the worst drawdown of the entire trade, your drawdown here was $1. Are you going to cut that trade? Are you going to panic? Will you be sweating? Do you even care? I'm willing to bet that 99%, if not, in fact, everyone, let's be honest, everyone watching this video would have done nothing. At a $1 drawdown, you'd be like, fine, it's $1, whatever. You wouldn't really care if it went 5 times this distance, maybe 10 times this distance, whatever. It's such a small amount of money. You would let the trade play out. What would the result be? You would win the trade. You had no reason to interfere. You were thinking logically. Yes, the market is stretched. Yes, it's gone a long way, but guess what? They always come back. That would be your thinking. That would be your logic and reasoning. The result would be a winning trade. Now then, imagine at this point here, you put on a little bit more, and it's because you want to make some profits, you want to sack your boss, you want this trader lifestyle. The money that you've got in there, well, you kind of need that money. Maybe you need it by the end of the month. You've got to feed the kids, pay the rent, whatever. But you can't afford to lose that money, and so you put this on thinking about what you're going to make on this trade, and you're a little bit surprised when it goes against, but you think it's okay. I've seen it go one zone before. It's not a problem. And it drops another, and you think, okay, well, I've seen it go 2 zones before. It's going to pull back any minute now. This is fine. It gets to the 50% level. It's gone 3 zones. Okay, this is it. This is where it's going to turn. Then it goes 4, and you're thinking, oh, this doesn't happen very often. Okay, I'm getting worried. I mean, I've only got a couple of days now. I need to get this money out. I've got to pay some bills. And then it's down here, and it's at the final. It's at the 250, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is it. I can't afford to lose this money. This is do or die. I'm going to have to do something. Price starts to push through. You can't take it anymore. You close the trade. You take the loss. Boom. Reversal. You just gave up that money. You just lost that money for nothing. You stopped following the rules. You interfered with the trade. You were not thinking logically. You were thinking with your emotions. It was pure fear driving this decision. Okay? I've seen this so many times. Loads of people message me after they've done stuff like this. I cut this trade and it's come all the way back up to where my TP was. And I say, why did you cut the trade? Well, I could only afford to lose this much of the account. I could only afford to lose half. I could only afford to lose $100 Why? Why did you put it at risk? If you cannot afford to lose it, it will affect your judgment. It will affect everything. You'll be sweating. You'll be panicking. You won't be sleeping. All kinds of stuff is going to happen. And you'll mess it up. You'll lose the trade. That's ultimately it. You might have been profitable for weeks until this happened. And this is why traders are inconsistent. Okay, it's because eventually the market will go further than you think, and it will scare you, and you will make a silly decision. And you'll make a silly decision, and it ultimately stems from trading with money you cannot afford to lose. Now, that amount of money for some people might be $100. For others, it might be $100,000. There is a very good friend of mine. He risks typically $50,000 to $100,000 per trade. He is absolutely comfortable at that level. Okay, I've never seen him panic even at 100k risk. He is absolutely cool with it. 99% of people could not take that. Most people are going to be somewhere in this range here where, you know, they're sweating, they're terrified at this. If that's, you know, if that's you, reduce your risk. Make sure that you can actually afford to lose that money. Because if you can lose that money and you really don't care about it, if you were in this $1 scenario where all the way down here, you're losing $1, would you interfere with that trade? No, you wouldn't. So if this is $1,000 for you and you wouldn't interfere at $1,000, then you're going to win that trade. Okay, but if you go beyond that level to the point where you can't afford to take that loss and you start to have these panicking, irrational thoughts, you're gonna lose. You're ultimately gonna lose. Okay. Now on the other side of the coin, we have greed. Okay, and this is, I'll be honest, I really thought about sharing some of the messages that I've had. I've actually had 3 conversations with 3 different traders this week that have all gone literally like this, and I don't want to embarrass anyone or, you know, name any names, but I get this week in and week out. People send me a DM. Yeah, but Ben, if I risk a small amount, then I won't get rich quickly. Sometimes the quickly is there, sometimes it isn't, okay? If I risk a small amount, if I only risk 0.01 lots a year, I'm only making this much per trade, I'm not going to get rich. I'm not going to sack my boss. I'm not going to quit my job. I'm not going to buy a Lamborghini. That is absolutely like the wrong attitude. Honestly, some of the questions are absolutely outrageous. I'll give you an example. People will say, I've got $100 to trade. How soon can I quit my job? How much do you earn in your job? Like 40 grand a year. How soon can you earn 40 grand a year from $100? Are you being serious? Like, it's, if that's your attitude, then you're never going to get rich. The right attitude is to say, if I risk a large amount, I won't get rich ever. So instead of, well, if I risk a small amount, I won't get rich quickly. No. If you risk a large amount, you won't get rich ever. You won't get rich ever because you won't survive this. Risking a large amount up here and on each additional trade means you cannot hold this trade. It means the market cannot go as far as it needs to, and it means you cannot survive to the point of reversal. It's literally that simple, okay? You might have got away with it, and people do. You over risk on trade 1. Maybe the first week or a couple of weeks that you trade, it never goes past, you know, sort of trade number 3. At this point, it's comfortable for your account. Trades keep winning, your account's, you know, doubling and trebling. You feel like an absolute trading legend. One day, the market goes just that one zone too far. Boom, account gone. Because you were trying to get rich quick. You were over risking because of greed. It's pure greed that's driving this thought process. It's totally wrong. You've got to take a step back and realize that actually real growth and real profit comes from being able to survive these moves in the market. It's all about compounding long term. Think about any investment firm. Think about a pension fund, anything like that. Have you ever heard one of these companies promise that you can get rich quick? Of course you haven't. They're not allowed to. It's not legal for a start. They would never do it because it's incredibly hard to do. And if you do it, it's probably not skill, it's probably luck. Like, you can over risk and get away with it. I know this better than most people. I have over risked tons of accounts. Some of them make it, some of them don't. The clever way to do it is, you know, with money management, it's to have a low risk account to make some profits that you can afford to lose, transfer that to a high risk account, and then over risk, then be an idiot with it. If you lose it, you only lost profit, but you don't do it with your capital. If you do it with your capital, you've got nothing left to compound and grow, and you ultimately just lose. So please pay massive attention to this video. Literally, fear and greed are what control the market and everyone that's in there. Okay, and the 2 biggest mistakes that traders make: trading with money that you can't afford to lose, sweating when you're in a drawdown, cutting trades that were going to come back and make you a profit, or, you know, just ultimately this attitude of, yeah, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to be rich quick. Like, doing that is a guaranteed way to make sure that you just never get rich ever, because you will just keep blowing the capital that you have to trade with. Okay,